Hello, Seventh-day Ascendist children, to the Indigo children, to my insufferable brothers and sisters. Welcome to the unofficial Tool Podcast Disgustipated, the show that goes elbow deep, overthinking and analyzing Tool songs. Please keep in mind that this show is unofficial, that these are my opinions and will involve some speculation with a large hooker with a penis-sized serving of facts. I know that April facts are kind of tricky, what with April Fool's Day and all. But let's just call it April Tools Day, shall we? Because I'm going to bring you some April Tools Day facts brought to you by Tool Countdown, an April Tools Day history. Followed by some Tool trivia with Juliaspiralsout, who runs the Tool Countdown fan page, and Mike, aka Aenima87. It's a fierce battle, let me tell you. It's a battle of the sexes, boys versus girls, to see who has more Tool fan knowledge between these two OGT Insufferables. Then we'll go into how I met Danny Carey, and I see him play live up close. It was so awesome. At the We Are Pneuma Facebook group meetup at the Baked Potato, to see the Doug Webb All-Stars, and a story of an OGT in LA for the first time, with some color commentary by the one and only Tom with the weather. Today, Aenima is going to be the theme for obvious reasons, LA. And you're going to want to stick around for the Tool Collection segment coming up later in the episode. And as usual, I'll be ending the episode with what disgustipates me lately. First, the Tool facts before the April Fools. The Fear Inoculum Ultra Deluxe Vinyl Box Set is finally here. It's finally here! I couldn't bring myself to get one because all I have for a record player is a suitcase. It's like right down there, but it's a suitcase vinyl record player, which normally I'd be okay with putting a record on there and just letting it play. I believe I've played Lateralis on there. I've played Undertow on there. I've played the Opiate EP. I have a whole point of buying such an expensive vinyl as Fear Inoculum Ultra Deluxe Vinyl Box Set. The whole point is that album was recorded from bottom up to be entirely dynamic range, meant for vinyl, analog. This thing never went into the computer. It was never digitized until the final step to put it onto CD or digital streaming. But as far as vinyl goes, it's audio file quality vinyl. And I can't really justify spending that money, or I definitely wouldn't put it on this turntable that I have, because it would just... Somebody told me that it was a vinyl destroyer. That's what they call it, it eats vinyl, because, you know, record players have, like, the stylus is measured, and a lot of them have a bend to them, but this one is just a straight, and it doesn't have a balanced weight on it. Anyway, it's finally here, and it looks beautiful, and I wish I had one, and maybe someday I will have one. But I just don't have the money to upgrade all my stuff right now. But boy, does it look awesome. I want one. I want one bad. But another thing that I want really bad is the Adam Jones signature Gibson Les Paul Standard that just came out with a price tag of $3,000. It's $2,999, but it looks epic. What I wouldn't give to own one of these guitars. I have a Paul Reed Smith, but my dad bought me that when I was a young man. Gave it to me for my birthday, so I've never spent that much on an instrument. This bass 6 here, I mean, I spent maybe $800 on that. The most I've spent on a guitar is $1,000, but one day I will own that as well. The Adam Jones signature Gibson Les Paul Standard sold out immediately for the first wave. Obviously, I think they're going to produce some more, but the initial wave sold out. But my guitar player, singer in Echoes of Iris, has talked about possibly getting one, so maybe I'll get to lay my hands on one eventually. In other news, Tool drummer Danny Carey says that they are working on a Lateralis live DVD, and rumor has it that it's from the show where Alex Gray painted Maynard. That will be amazing. I didn't get to catch them in the Lateralis tour, but that's when I first started listening to Tool on my own as an adolescent. I was introduced to Tool in the Aenima era by my father, but I didn't remember that until later as an adolescent when I bought Aenima, and it just felt like returning home, which is the The reason for the meme in the beginning, the Indigo Children, the symbolism to that is that the Indigo Children are a generation of children with special powers, special insight. Just Google Indigo Children and you'll see what I'm talking about there. The Indigo Children is what I say, but the meme by Mike Alarcon in the Tool Trivia, the meme is based on the art of Ramiro Rodriguez, and Mike put the Aenima smoke box in the TV. And to me, when I say Indigo Children, I'm talking about children who were raised on Tool, which I was, because like I said, my dad showed me Aenima when I was like a little kid. When I don't remember how old I was, maybe 8. Let's see, it came out in 96 and I was 10. So I was kind of raised in the Tool era. 90s music is my music. It reminds me of what Bane says to Batman in The Dark Knight Rises when he says, "You merely adopted the darkness. I was born in it." For all you new Tool fans, I was born in it. Born in the Tool. Born insufferable. But back to Danny Carey saying that there's a Tool live DVD from the Lateralis era being worked on. He also said that they have a head start on the new Tool album with 2 to 3 songs already started. If you were paying attention during the lead up to Fear Inoculum, they had a whole album that they scrapped and then started over. So I already kind of knew that they always stash away riffs for later use. But in my head, there's a lot going on with the Tool camp. I was surprised they didn't release a double album at the time of Fear Inoculum's release. But there's a lot going on in the Tool camp right now. So to me, it is feasible that this was an April Tools Day rumor as well. In April 2023, Danny Carey says that we'll have a new Tool album. In reality, I don't think it's that far off. I think we'll see new Tool in a couple years. Released maybe in the style of what Radiohead did within Rainbows, where it's just, bam, it's on their website all of a sudden. I mean, they are free agents now, and they have their own Instagram page, and word spreads like wildfire. But they could feasibly release something online, and within a couple days, everybody's going to know about it. And they could even do what Radiohead did and, pay what you want to for the album. And supposedly Radiohead made more that way than they ever had with any other album previously, because they were unsigned and they made more money. But a lot of people choose to pay more. But that's Radiohead. This is Tool. So Tool will probably break new ground doing something entirely different and outside the box. In other news, Adam Jones recently posted on Instagram some drawings that he did for the Volto album with the little mouse and the lightning going through it. If you haven't listened to Volto yet, I would advise you go do so. It's amazing jazz music. It's instrumental. Vocals usually can make or break an album for me. This is jazz top to bottom, and it has expressive saxophone playing and the keyboards. It's so good. My friend Paul introduced me to them. He's a regular at the Baked Potato, and he was also the drum tech for Danny during the COVID era. There's some really cool pictures of him and his wife Michelle behind Danny's drum kit playing. Like, can you imagine sitting behind the throne of Danny Carey and being okay? And making it, everybody laughs at it. And Danny, I just imagine Danny's big, giant hands smacking me across the face if I was to sit behind his drum kit. Maybe it's the glasses, but I don't think it would be acceptable. Malibu That Rocks is his girl, Michelle. And when we visited the Baked Potato, she gave us these were souvenirs for my kids. Kids love rocks. These are beautiful. She painted both of those. One's the baked potato. That one's the baked potato one. That one was for my son, and the other one's for my daughter. There. Can you see it? There. They're amazing. My kids love them. Kids love rocks. You know how kids are with rocks, but these are genuinely amazing. Malibu That Rocks. Check her out on Instagram. And like I said, Paul is the shit. I got a 360 photo with those guys. Maybe I'll put it up right here, or maybe right here. Or maybe both. But like I said, Paul introduced me to Volto. I already knew about Volto, but if for whatever reason you haven't listened to it yet, I would advise doing so. It's amazing. John Ziegler is the guitar player. He played with Danny in Pygmy Love Circus. The keyboard playing is amazing by Matt Rode. But he's just amazing. I've never heard keyboards played so well, except for maybe when I saw Mitch Foreman at the Baked Potato. But they're in the same league. I mean, it's just so expressive and dynamic. It's just, it's insane. Matt Rohde has recorded and toured with such awesome musicians as Jane's Addiction, Alanis Morissette, and Prince. I just read an article that Sylvia Massey turned down working with Prince to record Undertow, which I thought was amazing. Sylvia Massey, again, I've said it before in the first episode, she's like an outside the box thinker too, just an amazing producer. Her work with recording through such strange objects as a chicken DI, or she runs things through a light bulb. She's just a genius. But back to Volto, it was recorded in the loft, the Tool loft, and it's just amazing. If you haven't listened to it, go check it out. And like I said, Adam Jones did the art for the record. I tried to find a copy when I visited a Amoeba record store in LA, but I couldn't find one. They may have had it, but it reminds me of that Mitch Hedberg joke where he says, I went to a hard to find record store and nothing was alphabetized. That's kind of what it felt like in there. There's just so much stuff, but you can't go through it all. And they have things kind of placed in weird spots where, you know, you'll look at Tool and then there might also be a spot for Maynard James Keenan. And it's in a weird place like the J's because his middle name is James. It's just, I love the store. It was an adventure to explore, but it was a hard to find record store. I listened to Volto during the entire LA trip while I was getting ready, while I was driving. When I first landed, I headed to Point Doom. If you don't know anything about Point Doom, it was used in the Planet of the Apes. It's the beach scene. It was also featured in other things, but that's the main one that I remembered. And just looking at it online, it looked so cool. So that's the first place I headed when I landed. And I put on Volto, like I said, and even stuck in traffic in Malibu is amazing. I mean, yeah, it's traffic, but you're surrounded by beautiful hills. And like I said, I was listening to beautiful music. And I had stopped at a weed store in Malibu, and traffic was not aggressive like traffic is here. It was more like people are just carefree and kind of stupid. But when I say stupid, I mean there was a guy and a girl on a motorcycle that rode between cars, but it was just carefree. And like there's a beach right over there. Anyway, so I stopped at Santa Monica Beach. Here's Tom with the weather reporting from Santa Monica Beach. Tom? Thanks, Jeff. This is Tom with the weather reporting from sunny Santa Monica Beach. Checking out the views. It's pretty spectacular views. Check out these houses on the hill here. See all them houses on the hill? Bet there's people living in them houses on the hill. Bet I'd take it. See, that fits right there. Fits right there, and I just take and squish them. I just take and squish them little people. Check out this is really awesome over here. Is it not those people, but the people living in the hill. Whatever is going on over there. That's pretty awesome. Take it, squish them. Squish little people. But in all seriousness, this is a really awesome view. I'm on my way to Point Doom. Apparently that's where they shot Planet of the Apes. I'm gonna try to see a couple things when I'm here in LA, but of course, parking isn't free. Parking isn't free. Cost $7 for 5 minutes. Parking isn't free. Now the views are really awesome. And the beach is really cool, obviously, but just all around. I took some 360 pictures. I'll put those in there too. I think Tom with the weather is going to be moving on to my next spot. I'd chill here at the beach, but I just don't feel like I could chill just yet. Still got some reporting to do. And I gotta find a bathroom before my parking spot runs out. Alright, this has been Tom with the weather. Thanks, Jeff. Wow, lovely Santa Monica. Don't squish them people. But as I hear, there's some lovely art structures. Some sort of sphere. Do you know anything about that, Tom? This is Tom with the weather, reporting from your hollow balls. Hollow. Check it out. It's a pretty cool structure. Hollow balls. Thanks, Tom. How about that architecture? Thanks, Jeff. This is Tom with the fucking weather. Check out this building. Oh, I'm a total tourist. Check out that hill. This building is so badass. I'm just going to talk to you the whole length of the fucking building. How long do you think it took to grow all these vines? The length of a Tool song, you say? Well, you definitely look like a tourist. But I hope you learn to swim, and I'll see you down in Arizona Bay. And on that note, let's talk some Aenima. It's a rather straightforward song, and although it's written from a negative perspective, the line, "Don't just call me a pessimist, try and read between the lines. I don't know why you wouldn't welcome any change, my friend," implies a positive desire for growth. With any cataclysmic event, there's an opportunity for growth. Think of a forest fire, think of the asteroid impact that killed off the dinosaurs, and now humans are the top of the food chain. Like I said, there's always room for growth after a cataclysmic disaster, so that's the positive spin on Aenima. But then there's Aenima that was dedicated to Bill Hicks. Not just that the album was dedicated to Bill Hicks, but the song Aenima was based on a sketch by Bill Hicks called Arizona Bay, where he basically says the same thing that Maynard says in the song, where I hope you fall into the ocean like the turd that you are. But after my return home to Tennessee from my LA trip, I started listening to some George Carlin, and it's there's some similarity there between George Carlin and Bill Hicks and Tool. George Carlin has a bit called "I Kinda Like It When a Lot of People Die," where he talks about cataclysm and natural disasters like tornadoes and tsunamis and all the floods and all that stuff. And he also has a bit where he names off people that he could do without. Guys named Todd. Or, I don't even remember a lot of them. He lists a lot of people he could do without. But there's some pretty funny ones in there. George Carlin is a genius, and he goes on a lot about words and the meaning of words and how you should think for yourself and be an individual and don't trust the government, question authority. There's a lot of similarity between Bill Hicks and George Carlin. So if you've not listened to much George Carlin, I would advise you do so. And I'm a huge fan of Bill Hicks as well. I have his stand-up comedy DVD. I think it's not just Sane Man, but I have another one called Revelations. That one's really good. I don't remember which one's my favorite. I also had a CD where it's the UFO Tour, I think is what it's called. But that one's really good. I'm a huge Bill Hicks fan. I'll just leave it at that. Both Bill Hicks and George Carlin talk about natural disasters, and George talks about how it would wake people up and really put things in perspective, which is kind of what Aenima is about, kind of fret for your latte and fret for your lawsuit and fret for your figure. Those kind of things, they're not priorities, but that's kind of the point of Aenima, is to let all those things go, stop thinking about all that and start thinking about real life. George Carlin has a bit where he says, it's not going to be the end of the world. The world's going to be fine. It's the people that are fucked. The thing that I don't really understand about Aenima, there's a bit of duality in Tool's music where it's vague. He says one thing but means another, or he says something that kind of has a double meaning. Aenima is one of those songs where they're from LA and they're proud of it. I mean, they put Los Angeles on the side of some of their t-shirts. Speaking of t-shirts, Insufferable t-shirts now available. I know Tom with the Weather is going to be wearing one in the Tool Trivia, and I retired the OGT Disgustipated Podcast t-shirt. As I said in last episode, at the beginning of April, I just pulled it. So now, Insufferable shirts and Disgustipated Podcast shirts, and more to come. But back to Aenima. About the dual meanings, I don't think Maynard actually hates his fans. This is a joke. Insufferable embraced the love of Tool. I think Maynard wants people to appreciate his art. He just doesn't want people to overdo it. And you might think that I would overdo it, but really I have a lot more to talk about than just Tool. But I also have a lot of Tool knowledge. Anything good, people are going to obsess about. You don't think there are people that are obsessed with Pink Floyd or obsessed with Led Zeppelin or particular artists? My favorite comic book artist is Sam Keith. I know a lot about him as well. There's anything great, there's going to be people that know a lot about it. So, embrace your love for Tool. Be insufferable. Maybe just don't approach Maynard with it. So there's a lot of double meaning. There's a lot of hypocrisy in Tool too. Not hypocrisy necessarily, but there's gray area, There's extremes, and then there's in the middle, and then there's to the extreme of the other way. In Aenima, he's talking about these crappy stereotypes of people. There are crappy people all over the world. There are different types of crappy people here in Tennessee. In LA, the crappy people are more narcissistic, and everybody's out to get something from you. You don't know who's looking for something from you in a parasitic way, or there's a lot of questionable motives in pretty much anything. People in general, I think, tend to have a user mentality. They're always after something, and if they can't get something from you, then they're not interested in you. That's most people. That's not me. I actually detest people like that. But I also am able to see from both sides. I understand it. But anyway, so there are shitty people in every state, in every walk of life. There's all manner of humans everywhere in the world. But in LA, it seems like the weather is perfect. I mean, I can't... That's what's unnatural about the place, and what's also it's magical. Dreams come true in this spot. Maybe it's because of the type of people that all flock to this place are people trying to get something done, but it's a place where dreams come true, but maybe it's entertainment dreams. But Silicon Valley is in California too. What's crazy is that people traveled all the way from the other side of the country to there. Some people stopped in Oregon and decided, all right, I can't make it. We got to just live here. And then other people, these very resilient people, traveled all the way to the West Coast from Oregon, from that West, some people decided to keep moving. And those are the type of people that founded California. It's a place where dreams come true because they're resilient people, or resilient people find their way there. There's also a lot of users and abusers and shitty people. A lot of narcissistic people. A lot of users. Parasites. But like I said, you'll find that anywhere. What I'm amazed by is the magic energy of LA. If you've ever read the book American Gods or seen them, I've talked about this in episode 3, I think. But American Gods by Neil Gaiman, he talks about magical places. There's a prologue where he's talking about when he wrote the book American Gods, he was traveling the USA for the first time and visiting places that had magical energy, like Rock Island, I think he mentioned, or, think of Egypt and the pyramids. There's a magic, there's an energy, there's electricity in the air. That exists in different places throughout the world, and I think LA is one of those places. Would I want to live there all the time? No. It was fucking insane. The parking, everything was, you had to You had to pay out the ass to park anywhere. How can you have a business and not have a place for people to put their vehicle that got them there? And I didn't have the app to pay for the parking meter. I felt like an idiot a lot of times because I didn't know how to operate in this place. So I just bit the bullet and accepted that you just pay to park places. You pay to leave your car there. But I prefer living in a small town. It really made me miss home. But like I said, I was in another world. It was an adventure in LA, an OGT in LA. Even getting stuck in traffic was a little bit of an adventure because I got to admire the landscape. So I was headed to Point Doom. I got stuck in traffic in Malibu. Even Point Doom had a special magical energy to it. And honestly, I felt like I was called to Point Doom. Maybe because it was the first place I arrived at in LA. Besides Santa Monica Beach, I stopped there for a minute. But getting to Point Doom was really like my arrival into LA, and it really called my name to go there. I made a really cool video that I put on Instagram of I videotaped the waves crashing against some rocks, and I put Tool music to it. Check that out. The beach at Point Doom reminded me of the M. Night Shyamalan movie, Old. Driving through the Hollywood Hills was really cool. I stayed in an Airbnb that was a really nice house. Driving through the Hollywood Hills to get there was just amazing. There are lots of beautiful houses all in the hill with roads that weave their way through the hills. A very beautiful place to live, I would say. Probably insanely expensive, but very beautiful. There's a magical energy to that place, man. Part of it was probably just because it was a fantastical adventure for me. But I stayed at an Airbnb that had a garden. It was like the secret garden. It had an archway, and there was like a Buddha statue, like a Zen Buddha statue. I took some pictures next to that. It was a beautiful place to stay, and it was pretty close to the baked potato too, which was part of the reason that I booked the place, because I wanted to be close. I didn't want to wind up late to the baked potato for the show, the We Are Pneuma Facebook gathering. And the room had a beautiful view of LA outside the window, so I slept with the blinds all the way open, and I could just see LA lit up off in the distance. It was pretty amazing. It was overall kind of expensive, but it was a great trip. I'm hoping to pay for it with not just Insufferable podcast t-shirts, but I'm also looking to sell a guitar. So if anybody's interested in buying a Supro guitar, it's a very nice guitar. I don't want to take it out right now. Maybe I'll post a picture of it on my Instagram page, my Jeff with 1F Instagram page. It's got gold foil pickups, and it's the Ozark body style of Supro guitar, the same guitar that Jimi Hendrix played. His first instrument had the same body style. I'm only asking $500 for the guitar. I'll take pictures of it and post it on my Instagram, and I'm probably going to cross-post it on Reverb. So after a night's rest and some hanging out in the Zen garden with Buddha, I had to explore some tourist spots in LA, of course. The Hollywood Walk of Fame, meh. It was okay. Maybe if I'd have known where some of the stars of things that I actually cared about were, it would have been a little cooler. But actually, it was kind of a shady spot. I was walking down a certain road, and somebody started to follow me, and I could sense, I saw their body language when they started following me. And then I stared at him for a minute, and I just doubled back and went back because I could tell he was shady. So you could turn the corner in LA and all of a sudden wind up in the wrong area. That's another bad thing about LA, but like I said, that could be a lot of places. But LA has a lot of transients and homeless, and probably crime. And if, like me, I was wearing a backpack, so they probably just assumed that I had something to steal. Hollywood Walk of Fame might have been cooler had I known where some of the stars of things that I care about were, but I don't really know. I don't keep up with that stuff, and I didn't Google it. I was looking more for things that are so cool that you just have to go see them. Hollywood Walk of Fame isn't one of them for me. I went to the Capitol Records building, and that was really cool. The architecture was amazing. Just a giant round building that's 13 stories tall, and a lot of history has happened to that building. The Capitol Records building, I didn't go inside. I don't even know if they would have let me inside, actually, but if you don't know anything about it, it's an epic circular building, 13 stories tall, that houses Capitol Studios, a recording facility which includes 8 echo chambers engineered by guitarist Les Paul, and 3 main studios. Frank Sinatra had a close association with the studios. And I went to visit the Amoeba record store, which was awesome. I miss record stores so much. I really do miss music stores. But I walked in there, you go up a flight of stairs, and then you're standing above everything, and you can kind of see how massive the music selection is. They had so much stuff. So cool. I picked up a few things. I love all kinds of music. I don't just love Tool. Of course, I love Tool, and I have a wealth of Tool knowledge, but my first introduction to music was Smashing Pumpkins. My dad played Siamese Dream right when the record came out, and he had a cassette, and I actually stole the cassette from my dad. That was the first thing I was obsessed with, was Smashing Pumpkins' Siamese Dream. Radiohead. I love Radiohead. I actually posted a meme on April Fool's Day. It was a Radiohead meme. Tom York in a cowboy hat with rodeo with cowboy clothes on. I joked that I would pivot and become the official Radiohead podcast. I don't know anywhere near as much about Radiohead. That's my brother's band, and my dad loved Radiohead, but I absolutely adore Radiohead. I was listening to Hail to the Thief just yesterday. That's an amazing record, and Rainbows is amazing. OK Computer is amazing. Amnesiac, Kid A, they have so much good stuff, but I love all kinds of music. Red Hot Chili Peppers just played a show at Amoeba, the record store that I was at, last week, whenever their record came out, their new album. John Frusciante is like a personal hero of mine. He's such an artist and an amazing guitar hero. If you listen to Don't Forget Me from their By the Way album, it has a reminiscence of something Adam Jones would play. The guitar solo and the delay and the weirdness of the textures. He's a very textural guitar player and soulful, so soulful. Red Hot Chili Peppers is amazing. I don't know how much I like the new album, but I'm going to listen to it a lot and try to figure it out. I was so excited to hear when John Frusciante rejoined the Peppers, and I wish I had been at Amoeba when they played that show. And of course, I love Nirvana. That was one of my first obsessions as well, from the Columbia record house thing. I got 13 CDs for a penny or whatever, and In Utero was one of them. Of course, I had heard Nevermind before that, but In Utero was really the one that I spun constantly and just absorbed, and the raw sound of it and the drums, everything amazing. In Bloom might be my favorite Nirvana song, but I love lots of music. I love Nirvana. I love grunge era, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, Chris Cornell, Pearl Jam. That's one of BJ, my singer from Echoes of Iris. That's one of his favorite bands, Pearl Jam. Scott Weiland, Stone Temple Pilots. So I picked up from the Amoeba record store. I perused their entire selection, or what I could get my hands on, and I took home a couple souvenirs, one of which was Pantera Great Southern Trendkill. And oddly enough, I'm listening to that driving around. And then on April Fool's Day, somebody posted a meme that said that somebody posted a fake Twitter post from Phil Anselmo that said, yeah, believe it, Tapeworm is getting back together, because somebody else had posted a meme that Tapeworm, the collaboration between Maynard and Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails, and Phil Anselmo was going to be releasing their album in a week or something like that. But anyway, so that was another coincidence of I'm driving around listening to Great Southern Trendkill and Pantera and Maynard and Danny Carey. Anyway, I said coincidence, and this made me think of this. I was just reading an interview with Maynard that said that he doesn't believe in coincidence, which means he must believe in synchronicity, which means he must believe in the universe giving you answers and guiding you as you move along, or instincts, whatever it might be. But the interview with Maynard said he doesn't really believe in coincidence. So that's an interesting fact. And I mentioned that I loved Smashing Pumpkins. I played the Supro on a Smashing Pumpkins cover of the song Mayonnaise. You can find that on my YouTube as well. The guitar sounds really good, I think, especially distorted with the fuzz pedal, but the clean sounds are amazing too. I think it's a beautiful sounding guitar. It's a great instrument. If you are interested in buying a guitar, you might look into it anyway. And then this instrument that you see hanging here is a bass 6. It's not a guitar, it's a bass with 6 strings, but the 2 strings that are extra are higher strings, not lower strings. So if you think of a 6-string bass, you usually think of something that goes lower than normal, but this one goes higher than normal, and it's actually tuned an octave lower than a regular guitar. And the inspiration for me buying that instrument was Deftones. I love Deftones. Hashtag Jefftones. If you look up hashtag Jefftones, you'll see all my Deftones shirts, and I played Deftones songs on my guitar. One of my first guitars was Stefan signature guitar. I love all kinds of music. I could almost turn this into just a music podcast, but then I couldn't do Tool trivia. Or maybe I could. Maybe I could. Who knows? But there's so much to talk about with Tool and so much to interpret. So back to my OGT in LA story. Of course, I had to stop at the Green Jello Loft. That's where it all began. That's where Tool formed. That's where they all met, and that's where the band formed with Adam Jones and Maynard. Danny Carey was playing in Green Jello. They all met through Bill Manspeaker of Green Jello, and they actually played their first show at the Green Jello Loft on New Year's Eve. Not to mention that they recorded the 2 live songs on Opiate at the Green Jello Loft. So there's a lot of history at the Green Jello Loft, and I Googled it. I had to find the place. I wanted to go visit it. I hoped to meet Bill Manspeaker, but so Google showed me one image, which was a place that looked like it was shut down. It was kind of boarded up looking. So I showed up there, and I walked over to it, and I'm like, well, I'll just take some pictures of this, and I'm going to put some of these Disgustipated podcast stickers here. And I put them on the parking meter, and I put a couple on the wall where it was boarded up. And then I swear I heard somebody in the upstairs say, "What is he doing?" So I'm walking. I just decided to walk. Actually, I kind of forgot where I parked, but that's neither here nor there. I was walking around the block just to explore the area. So I'm walking a little further, and then I stopped, and I'm kind of debating on going back because I remembered that I forgot where I parked. And then all of a sudden, I looked behind me, and there were the puppet heads. I saw 2 puppet heads. And then I realized I was taking pictures of the wrong side of the Green Jello Loft. The puppet heads clued me in. It was so cool just turning around and seeing these massive puppet sculpture heads. The place, the Jello Loft, is now called Sacred Farts. There's a sign. It says Hollyweed. I think there's a weed store like next door. But so I went and got my stickers that I had put on the lamp, that I had put on the parking meter. I pulled them back off the parking meter, and then I brought them over and started putting them around over there because, people that stop at the Green Jello Loft, I want them to see my stickers. And then the door to the Green Jello Loft, Sacred Farts, I should say, the door has stickers all over it. So I put at least 1 sticker, I think maybe 2, but I put a sticker on the door too. So if you go to the Green Jello Loft, or Bill, if you happen to be listening to this, that's my sticker, babe. Little Bill, let me in. That's what I should have said, because after a while of standing there, especially when I put the sticker on, I just happened to be taking a picture, and I noticed there was somebody sitting on the other side of the door. Little Bill, let me in. Not by the hair on my chinny chin chin. I didn't want to knock on it, but then, so I decided to take pictures anyway, even if there was somebody on the other side thinking, what's this weirdo doing? Because I didn't think they were open. I'm ashamed to say I didn't push on the door, but there was just somebody sitting in there, and I didn't want to knock on the door and be too weird. I'm weird by nature, but I didn't want to be that weird by nature of hey, is Bill here? Here's the funny part. I had a picture of Maynard. It's the one where he's smiling, going like this. He's wearing those black rimmed glasses, and he looks like Bill. He looks like Bill Manspeaker right there. So I had saved it to my phone as my lock screen. So I was going to, if I saw Bill, I was going to break the ice and be silly by saying, "Hey, isn't this you?" But then that backfired later, because every time I would take my phone out to take a picture with somebody at the Baked Potato, it would look like I had my screensaver as a picture of Maynard going like this. I actually had one as Danny too. I have 2 phones. One of them is basically for editing video, and the other one was my cell phone. So I had on the other one, I had the picture of Danny, that Sugar That Rocks did, and Scott Baxa. It's Danny with the Peter Criss makeup from Kiss. So I was going to go up to Danny and be like, "Hey, I know you. You're that guy. Yeah, Peter Criss. Isn't this you?" And hold up the picture of Peter Criss, of Danny with the makeup on. But I didn't get to do that, probably because I didn't remember. But I did have many awkward situations where I went to take a selfie with somebody in the group, and then I'm trying to fumble through my phone, and I have to explain to him I'm not so obsessed with Tool that I have a picture of Maynard as my screensaver, Okay, so after a short break, we are back. And I believe I was going into my total awkwardness, my strange nature, my not knowing how to interact properly with other people. I do, but you have to get past a lot of weirdness for me. You have to, and this kind of hurts me. I try to think and act like normal people, but it doesn't, I'm not really people. I'm my own person. I'm unique. I'm lovable, but you have to get past the awkwardness, and I have to get past knowing that I'm awkward. I overthink everything because I know how strange I am. I get it. I understand I can't help but think from other people's angles. I think I was made to feel strange from a very young age. And so I think I might have taken in a little bit of liquid courage to make up for that. And I probably went a little bit overboard. I think actually I'm getting more used to how strange I am. And I'm accepting that is who I am. And this podcast is really helping a lot with that. And so is meeting other people that are like me. And also, I think the strange things about somebody are actually what make you more interesting. And if you overthink everything, at least you're thinking. If you're in a state of bliss all the time, or if you're drunk and you're not thinking, you're probably not yourself. You're not as interesting, probably. You might be more carefree, but less interesting. But before I get into my unending awkwardness, my just awkward nature, and before I get into talking about meeting a personal hero of mine and so many awesome OGTs that were accepting of who I am, I just figure I'll wrap up with my OGT in LA story of all the places I visited. I went to visit the LA County Museum of Art, and by that point, my foot was hurting really bad. As I mentioned before, I've had a stroke, and it kind of left peripheral nerve damage and stuff, and I injured my foot rather recently, and it just hasn't been the same. Walking around hurts. I was trying to push through that in LA as much as possible, and I was wearing bandages, I was wearing lidocaine patches on my foot, but after a while, it just hurt so bad that I took pictures at the LA County Museum of Art from the outside. There were these really cool animal head sculptures on poles, and there was this awesome light. There were a bunch of light lamps or light poles or lamps on poles. It was just really cool. So I took some pictures outside there, and I wanted to go inside, but I didn't because my foot hurt so bad. I was just in a lot of pain. So I didn't wind up going in there, but it was very cool. And maybe someday if I return there, I will get to visit that, and I might hit up the Red Hot Chili Peppers star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Maybe I'll actually give a shit about the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Maybe Tool will have one by that point, and I can stop there. And maybe I'll get to meet Bill Manspeaker and go to the Green Jello Loft for a show. Or hell, maybe Tool will be playing somewhere in the general area. But, I also had to visit the Hollywood sign in the Hollywood Hills. So let's check with Tom with the weather, reporting from the Hollywood sign in the Hollywood Hills. Tom? Long before you ever even heard my name, I sold my soul to make a record right here in lovely Hollywood, California. Tomorrow evening will be the gathering for the group We Are Pneuma, the Facebook Tool Collective, and I'm excited to meet all these creative Tool fans and meet the amazing, legendary Danny Carey. Tomorrow evening, I hope to meet a boy wearing Vans 501s with a dope beastie tee and a nipple ring, or at least a few OGTs. They're spying on me right now. Hopefully I'll get some pictures with Danny Carey. Maybe I'll get him just maybe, I can get him to say hi on the podcast. That would be legendary. And my thing has been to give gifts to celebrities. I gave Dax Riggs the Kevin Smith movie Red State because I know he's into horror movies and good film. And who doesn't love a good dick joke? Of course, I gave Adam Jones the Molly Hatchet vinyl with Frazetta artwork. I mainly gave it to him because I knew that he was into Frank Frazetta. And then lo and behold, we have Tool posters with Frazetta on it. Oh, probably just a coincidence, but maybe a synchronicity. Maybe I can get Danny Carey to tell me his thoughts on synchronicity. I almost gave him a vinyl of the Police Synchronicity. At the same time that I bought that vinyl for Adam Jones, I also bought the album Synchronicity by Police. And I thought about giving him that vinyl, but ultimately I decided against that. Alright, so now I guess we're on to Hollywood. Go check out the Hollywood Boulevard and maybe see if anything's happening at the Green Jello Loft. Would be awesome to get to meet Green Jello's Bill Manspeaker. The godfather of Tool, some might say. After all, Maynard and Danny did kind of meet through Bill, with Danny playing drums for Green Jello and Adam helping them to make costumes. And then Maynard showed up there because he liked the creative space, and it all just kind of fell into place. But he was there for the foundations of Tool. So maybe I'll get a picture outside there, or maybe I'll get to talk to him here in a minute, but we're going to head there now. Damn, Tom, those are some high hopes. You must have been high. But I know you were a little too drunk when we met Danny Carey at the Baked Potato at the We Are Pneuma Facebook gathering. Like I said, you were a little too drunk. I mean, just saying, you know. I mean, I know they had a 2-drink minimum, but if I recall right, you dropped and broke a glass. As I said, I had a stroke, so my right side is not... I mean, I think I accidentally dropped it. My nerves are not quite right, and it just fell out of my hands. It wasn't because I was too drunk, although I did drink a little bit more. But I wasn't too drunk. I think I was just not thinking as clearly because I was a little bit drunk. I wasn't so drunk that I was, like, falling over or anything. It was just, I got more drunk with liquid courage than I wanted to be, but I didn't realize it until I had already drank too much, and I just wasn't thinking clearly. I mean, we are awkward as hell, you know? So, like, I didn't want to be super awkward. I didn't want to be overthinking myself. I probably should have smoked some weed or something, but, you know, for being a weed legal state, like, there's not all that many people smoking weed around, and then I was staying in Airbnb. They didn't want me smoking in their house. You know, like, you can't smoke. You just can't smoke anywhere. Like, I don't know where people smoke their weed at. In a weed legal state, it's, like, so secretive. So I'm awkward as hell. You know, I'm awkward as hell, but once you get past it, you love me. It just takes a while to get past it. You know, that's the unfortunate side of being me, is that, you know, that's who I am. That's the way I was made. So I drank some liquid courage to meet my hero, and I was super awkward. I had brought this. It was actually hanging in the episode. You might have seen it. It was hanging right here before that. But it's an octopus pocket watch, because Danny is the octopus timekeeper. I brought this octopus pocket watch to give to Danny, and I wore it around my neck. You might be able to see it in some of the photos. I brought it as a gift for him, and I wore it around my neck to remember that I had it to give to him. So I'm wearing this thing, and then I walk up to him, and I'm like, here, I have a gift for you, and I couldn't get it from around my hair because I had my hair down. I couldn't get it from around my neck, so I accidentally pulled it, and it broke the chain, and I just handed it to him. Like that, broken with the broken chain. Tom with the weather, unchained. But it was, oh man. And then he's like, yeah, this is kind of cool, you know, but it's like broken, and I think I actually handed him the chain too. I like pulled the chain. But, you know, luckily he was pretty cool, and I got a picture with Danny, but I didn't get a cool 360 picture because it had died by that point, because I had been taking pictures, 360 pictures with group members and at the touristy crap. I had charged it before I came there. I stopped at that back at the Airbnb before I went to the Baked Potato and let things charge. But it just died. It died before I got to take a 360 picture. So I got a 360 picture with Adam that one time. And I was super awkward then. But luckily both of them were really cool. Danny was cool and Adam was cool. I did make the mistake of taking a picture at the Baked Potato while they were playing. And, you know, it's such a small, intimate venue that when I watched back those videos, and I only took a couple little snippets of video, but literally every time I took a couple pictures and I took a little video of when they were playing, No Quarter. But you can see them notice the camera. because it's such an intimate little room that they wind up making eye contact with the camera, and then they like try to not notice it. Cameras can be awkward. Believe me, when I do this, it's awkward trying to talk to a camera, trying to talk to a person. When I'm recording music, as soon as you hit the record button, that's when you tend to mess up the most. The same thing goes for this. When I'm trying to do it in my head before I'm recording, I think of funny things to say, and that's why I have notes. But like, once you're recording, it all leaves your brain. The same thing probably goes for musicians, especially jazz musicians, who are like flying by the seat of their pants, playing like they're virtuosos. They're unbelievable musicians, and they're trying to be in the moment and hear each other, and then they see a camera, and it's like super distracting, you know? So if you're at the Baked Potato, don't take video. I know it's hard not to, though, because everybody wants a memento from like, I'm seeing Danny Carey from like 50 feet away or less. No, it's like, I'm not a good measure of the distance, but it was like super close. If I laid down, there'd probably be 2 or 3 of me between Danny Carey and me. Like, so 6'1" times 3 is like maybe 18 feet from me. Holy shit, Danny Carey was 18 feet from me. I mean, that's the one seat. I sat in another spot before, and I was like, but both spots, like every time I'd hold up a camera, you could see them notice it. Don't do the camera thing. That's long story short. Don't do the camera thing. It's super distracting for them, and you don't want to be that guy, believe me, because I was that guy, and that might have been an extra reason of why I was so awkward. So I didn't get a 360 picture with Danny like I did with Adam, but I did take a 360 picture with some guys in the group as we were hanging around before the show in the Baked Potato, and I didn't know, but Doug Webb was sitting right there next to us, so he's in the background of one of these 360 pictures. The Doug Webb All-Stars are just sitting there. Actually, Jamie Kime, as well, the guitar player, is in the background of one of the other pictures. It might be the same picture, but there's like the Doug Webb All-Stars are sitting there in the background of this 360 picture I'm taking with the group, with Jason Piper and the other guys. I can't remember all their names, but I know they're in the Facebook group, and I've seen them. I've seen them before, but I'm not that good with names. Actually, I mistakenly, I would not remember their names. Jamie Kime, Mitch Foreman, obviously Danny Carey, and Jimmy Earl. All amazing musicians. And Doug Webb, he's a virtuoso, man. The virtuosity of the entire band was just unbelievable. The band was on fire and dynamic. It was so dynamic, it was like a roller coaster of sound. For being instrumental, it just has so much range, and it's just so emotive. The keyboard playing of Mitch Foreman is mind-bending and expressive to a degree that I'm not familiar with many keyboard players, and I don't really like keyboards. But this guy, it was like, I'd never heard keys like that before, and I'm trying to like watch him because I feel like it's a magic trick, that he's pulling a magic trick off in front of my eyes, and I'm just trying to watch to figure out, like, what is he doing? How is he doing that? Like, it's so expressive. I just couldn't figure out the magic trick that he was performing, like, right in front of my eyes, you know? This Mitch Foreman guy. And I got a picture with Mitch Foreman. I got a picture with Jamie Kime. I didn't get a picture, besides that 360 picture where he's in the background, I didn't get a picture with Doug Webb or with Jimmy Earl. But the guitar playing of Jamie Kime is like, it was immensely dense with sonic fury, and the sound and dynamics and melody. The parts were aggressive and beautiful. And the bass playing of Jimmy Earl, I mean, he was like locked in with Danny. You just felt the rhythm section, you know. It was he blended in so subtly well. I mean, it wasn't overwhelming. The Danny Carey's drums were so good. Of course, obviously Danny Carey. I mean, I'm just keyed in on him the whole time. It was just unbelievable. The whole band was just unbelievable. It was such a amazing experience. Not just seeing the guys live, but hanging out with the We Are Pneuma Facebook group, all the Tool Instagram fanbook page people, and of course meeting Danny Carey. It was an epic night. And when I met Danny, this is the Tool collection segment. I even got Danny to sign these drumsticks. Oh, I'm covering up the signature right here. Check it out. Danny Carey signed these drumsticks for me. And I plan to give them to my drummer to hopefully inspire him. The drummer for Echoes Virus, he's been kind of AWOL. He's an amazing, genuinely gifted drummer. He's a disciple of Danny Carey. Danny Carey is his favorite drummer. We used to cover Tool songs in our band before Echoes of Iris. Echoes of Iris is my band. We do intro and exit music for the podcast. And really, I'm hoping that these drumsticks will inspire him, and maybe he'll play them on an Echoes of Iris song. And really, I'm just hoping to get back to playing music. Echoes of Iris has a whole album's worth of material between room recordings. We've written at least 6 songs together. We have fantastic room recordings from when we were practicing them, but we made so many of them, and I don't know which ones are. We were going to go back. This was my plan, because I'm kind of the recording engineer, the producer guy. I mean, I play guitar and bass, and I do background vocals, and I've programmed drums on the tracks that we've released so far, because, well, like I said, the drummer is a genius, but he went AWOL because he's such a genius that it's a disabling kind of genius, where, like Van Gogh, in a way, you know, kind of tortured by something, and his thing has been numbers. But that's what he says anyway. But I think it's a stress, it's an anxiety, it's turned into a little bit of agoraphobia for him, where all he does is go home and play video games. But he's such a admirable musician. As I've said before, he's the face behind Amish Maynard. And Amish Maynard was partially the mascot for the podcast, and the gimp/prophet of the Seventh-day Ascendist cult that is this podcast. Woo! But Echoes has a whole album's worth of material, and I hope at some point that we can get through it. I really hope that the drumsticks inspire him, and I hope maybe he can record a song with those sticks, and it will be charged by the energy of Danny Carey. But really, I hope to get back to producing music soon. And me and the singer have been pushing on without the drummer. Like I said, I programmed drums and I played guitar, and I've been the recording engineer. And I want to go back through the room recordings that we have so far and lay vocals on top of some of them. I can cut together perfect drum takes from what we have. I didn't want to do that. I want it to be based on a great take, and then build on that as a foundation. But we'll get there eventually. We'll get there. I mean, I honestly thought about taking a break from the show, the podcast, because I get, like, I don't want to say I have a numbers thing, but I do kind of have a numbers thing where when the 7th comes up, when it gets closer to the 7th, if I have a week or I have a couple weeks, I'm already kind of in my head planning, like, I got to write this thing and I've got to kind of put my thoughts in order. And, I have to have time to edit it. There's 2 cameras. I have to make sure my computer has space. I have to make sure my phone has space. I have to clear. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot that goes into it. But I do love doing this. I love putting on the show. I love putting on the goggles. As soon as I put on the goggles, I become more free to be myself and have fun. But I do need to get back to focusing on music. I need to put it first, honestly, is what I need to do. First behind other priorities like my family. But I have thought about taking a break from this and doing a season 2. Take a break, come back, do season 2. Or maybe I can do videos as I can do them without a deadline of every month on the 7th. I put that number on myself. Seventh-day Ascendist. I wanted to be consistent. I wanted to have a deadline. But honestly, the deadline for this kind of gives me too much anxiety and makes it a little bit less fun. If I just do the videos as I can work on them, then that gives me a little bit more freedom to think about music for longer periods of time, because I do obsess over it. I obsess. I will mix the song Bigger Man by Echoes of Iris. It's like a cross between Nirvana and Tool, but there's like a very odd time riff in there, which makes it hard for me to program drums because I play weird things and I don't know how to count them. What bugs me about counting music, listen to Schism. The guitar riff goes dun 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 dun, but that's how I hear it as a guitar player. Dun dun dun. But Danny starts it on dun 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 dun. I don't think that way. I don't think in accounting. It's about where the downbeat is, and I think of the riffs are in my head in a certain way. I don't think about music as numbers. I think about it as a way it moves or swings, and I remember that. I remember the catchy off-timeness of things. That's how it sticks in my head. So I don't know how to program drums to off beats except to kind of play a 4/4 beat and then cut it up into ones and twos and threes. So I'm obsessive about music. I'm obsessive about mixing. Like I said, Bigger Man, I mixed that song 100 times or more. It's at least 100. It's somewhere in that ballpark though, but I mixed that song a bunch of times because the first time I mixed it, I had recorded the guitar and the bass to the drums, and then it was before the vocals. But once you add vocals to something, it changes the whole dynamic range of everything. And so before I put the vocals on it, I did the guitar and the bass, and I just slapped a limiter on there so that it could play through the speakers without clipping. And it sounded unbelievably good, and I was super excited about that mix. Then I added vocals and everything changed, probably because I overprocessed the guitars in the process. Long story short, I obsess about things and I'll mix the hell out of it. But I need to get back to obsessing about music, and I need to figure out my path, and I need to figure out if I can get my drummer on board, and if I can't, we're going to find another way. I've paid a drummer to work on another song, Sunflower. I'll pay drummers, you know. And I'm talking to Juliaspiralsout, who's in the Tool Trivia later. I'm talking to her about playing drums on some stuff. We're going to work on a Tool cover of Intolerance. But if you want to keep up with the things that I do, I mean, I'm still going to run my Instagram page, but if you want to keep up with the videos that I post, subscribe to the channel, subscribe on YouTube. I will announce if I take a break, but if I do take a break, the videos will come out more sporadically without a deadline. It might not be the 7th of every month. I still haven't decided what I'm going to do yet, so if you have an opinion on this, please let me know. But like and subscribe, and that will help me, and that will help you to keep in touch. Okay, but back on track. Before we get to Tool Trivia, I just want to say that it was a blast getting to meet all of these OGT Insufferables, all of the like-minded people. It's rare that you meet somebody and automatically you feel like you have so much to talk about. You have so much in common. And that's what it was, getting to meet all these people who I had come to know through their creative like Instagram pages and through Facebook groups. And I felt like I could talk to them for hours about Tool or just about life in general, not just about Tool. When I started this podcast, I had a head full of ideas and Tool knowledge, obviously, and ideas about the songs. Like I started with the Disgustipated, they destroyed a piano to create something new, that whole thought. But I had a head full of ideas, and I had a handful of funny memes and things that made me laugh, and some of them were done by Aenima87. Well, he was Aenima46 and 2 at that time, but that account got hacked. He had like so many followers. He had like a 10,000 posts, because I remember he celebrated the 10,000th post. But he's contributed to the show in a way, because I would, in the Danny Carey trial episode, the Mortal Kombat meme, that's him. He made the Danny Carey Goro picture. This guy's like a cool graphic designer. The Indigo Children, that thing was based on the art of Ramiro Rodriguez, who did the art for the We Are Pneuma Facebook group, and the Chisaro Some Ability vinyl, and Tool shirts and whatnot. This whole group of Insufferable OGTs, the people that I met there that night, they run Instagram fan pages. They are the Indigo Children. They are raised like I was on Tool, and it's been in their lives. It's been a big part of their lives. I know that we all love different kinds of music too. We don't just like Tool, but it is an enigma of a band. And art, you know, art leaves something to think about. And they left us a lot of art to pick apart. But so I mentioned Indigo Children. Tyler Rowland, aka Ionic Schisms on Instagram. I've been wanting to pick this kid's brain for a while. He's met the guys in Tool at VIP and music clinics, and I remember seeing a picture of him on his Ionic Schisms Instagram page of him standing behind Danny Carey while Danny Carey was playing like Rosetta Stone. I mean, he's at those music clinics or the VIPs. I don't remember when it was, but I just want to pick this kid's brain. I want to talk to him. I want to see where he comes from. I know he plays music as well, and he also is kind of a music journalist. He writes for the Hard Times. It's like a satire page, but he's also kind of got his own music blog. We got to talk a little bit outside the baked potato after he got his, he had a Danny Carey synth book that he got Danny to sign. So we got to talk a little bit outside of the baked potato. That was pretty cool. I would love to get him on Tool Trivia at some point. That'd be awesome. Of course, Misha George, the artist, animator, founder of We Are Pneuma group, the Tool Collective Facebook group. He's also an animator that worked on the AR, VR part of the Green Jello album Garbage Band Kids. He did this animation, and he's animated Tool posters, like making them move and stuff. He does some really cool stuff, as well as being the roommate of Minnie May JK, if you remember him. He made a whole backflip entrance to say hello to me, and I unfortunately didn't get a picture like right next to him. You know, he's my little buddy. I should have. I just, like I said, I took too much liquid courage to make me not as awkward and reserved as I was, but I didn't think to get a picture. I think he's in a picture with me and Julia and Misha, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him. That's on me, you know, but I'll get to see these guys at some other point. And the talented Juliaspiralsout, who I've had the good fortune to meet twice now, once at the Louisville show, but she runs the Instagram page Tool Countdown. She's a very cool page that does countdowns to the Tool album releases and Tool shows, and she's just a very knowledgeable Tool fan. She does this cool thing called Riff Twins on her stories, where she'll play a clip of a Tool song and then like Pneuma and then right in two, or I think it was right in two. I can't, but she'll play little clips from the songs that sound very similar. You know, she calls it Riff Twins. That's pretty cool. It's really cool, actually. It's very cool. So I was fortunate enough to get her and Mike Alarcon, Aenima87, to play Tool Trivia. I Know the Pieces Fit, the show where everyone's a loser because Maynard hates us all. So this is a battle of the sexes, boys versus girls. Tool Trivia, I Know the Pieces Fit, with Juliaspiralsout and Aenima87. But before we get to that, here's April Tool's Day, a history by Tool Countdown. In 1997, Tool announced that the band had been involved in a serious bus crash. MTV News eventually had to report that the announcement was just a prank. The announcement on their website read, "Urgent. Early this morning, while on tour in Australia, Tool's tour bus was involved in a serious highway accident. Early reports from Zoo Entertainment are that at least 3 of the band members are listed in critical condition. While the label will not comment on which members of the band were injured, the remainder of the spring tour has been canceled, as have plans for a U.S. summer tour. Check the news for more info." 1998, while fans awaited the follow-up to Aenima, a post on TDN, Tool.net, claimed that all recordings of new music were wiped out in a hard drive crash. 2001, reports surface on TDN claiming that Danny Carey had quit the band. 2002, Tool announced the release of a new EP. The press release reads, "Tool are proud to present Gammon, an EP, though it's 69 minutes long, of never-before available material this week. 7 tracks from the Fall 2001 tour have been lovingly produced by longtime Tool and King Crimson collaborator David Bottrell, and are scheduled to rip through listeners' ears tomorrow. The band states, we didn't want word of this getting out early because of all the bootlegging that goes on online. We didn't even tell our mothers about it. When we released Salival, their last live EP, people were spreading rumors about it for months. But this time, as evidenced by the lack of information available in the press and on websites, it appears that Tool have succeeded once again in maintaining their control over their material. The beautifully packaged EP will be on sale tomorrow, but as a special promotion, all Tower Records, HMV, and Virgin Music stores in the US and Europe will be selling the $14.99 Gammon for $3.99 for 1 hour only, beginning 11:59 p.m. Monday night, April 1st. 2005. MJK claims that he has found Jesus and is quitting music. In an email to TDN's webmaster, he writes, "Hi, Kabir. I thought it only fair to inform you first, before you hear it second or third hand. Some recent events have led me to the rediscovery of Jesus. Tool will need to take the back seat. This may come as a shock. I just thought you should know, considering all the support you've given us over the years. MTV News' Kurt Loder emailed MJK for confirmation, and he emailed back, I did in fact find Jesus. More news to follow. God bless ya. 2006. In the lead-up to 10,000 Days, TDN announced that the band members would be hosting listening parties in 4 cities. The press release reads, with the 4 of us scattered across the world, this seemed a great opportunity to let our fans worldwide participate in something special. Tomorrow, in Sydney, London, New York, and Los Angeles, at 11 a.m. local time in each city, one of us will be on hand to play the album for the first 500 fans who arrive at the venue. No questions, no autographs, no cameras, no cell phones, just the music. We're sorry for the short notice, but we wanted to keep the media out and diehard fans in. 2009. TDN announces that Tool will be going on a small venue tour. The post reads, in addition to Tool hitting the festival circuit this summer, word has just gotten out that they are going to play a series of shows at small venues, under 1,000 capacity we are told, as they make their way around the country. Exact dates are scheduled to be released this morning to modern Rock FM stations around the country, so you might want to tune in to your local morning radio show. Update. We now have confirmation that in order to deter scalpers, under instructions from Tool's management, the stations will not be announcing local tour dates on air, but will instead be giving ticket information all day only to people who call in and request information with the password cozened. Cozened? I looked it up. It means tricked or deceived. Fucking tricksters. April Tool's Day, y'all. 2015. Tool announced on their official Facebook page that another band had stolen their new music and re-recorded it as their own. Quote, this music leak is unsettling on many levels. First of all, it truly sucks to have your unfinished music available on the interwebs without your consent. And second, to have it immediately picked up by someone and released as their own work is infuriating. We don't encourage anyone to listen to the leaked clip because it's far from finished and it will spoil what's to come. But if you absolutely must, then listen to both clips. These are practically identical. It's a clear-cut case of copyright infringement and plagiarism. Hashtag sue everybody. Hashtag March 32nd. The band then posted 2 links. The links were recordings of the Hechizeros band Korg classic El Sondito. I'm not really familiar with that. I don't know. It's classic, but I don't know. 2019. With fans waiting for any word on the new album, the band takes to their official Twitter page to post a 37-minute video of cricket sounds. So that's April Tool's Day history by Tool Countdown. So that's Julia's contribution. And Mike, aka Aenima87, in 2001, he posted a picture of a Tool live DVD of the Fear Inoculum tour and an Amazon link in his bio. Same thing this year, except Danny had just announced that Tool would be releasing a live DVD of the Lateralis era. So when he posted that picture, it actually made me jump like, oh, it's out today. And then I remembered what day it was. But if you click on the link in his bio, it actually took you to a poster. It was a poster of a vulgar nature in the styling of Lateralis. Aenima87 is the Tool meme lord. This guy, not only, like I said, I've been using some of his stuff in just the clip images and whatnot, but he also made this cool Tool Fret for Your Latte coffee mug. I mean, he just made the graphic, and then I guess he made one for himself, and somebody else tried to rip it off. I think they printed something of his on a t-shirt, too. He made an Adam Jones Chewbacca meme. I guess he's made several. There's also one he made that was like the whole band. It was Potato Maynard, Rick Grimes, Justin Chancellor, and like an octopus behind a drum set, Danny Carey. He also made Tool Danny Carey Thug Life shirt with his mugshot. With the glasses, you know, like, what is it? When somebody does something, you know, violent, and then it just puts the glasses on them, and those memes. And then there was also a Mortal Kombat character meme. He did all the characters, like the Mortal Kombat theme, the Goro Danny Carey, Raiden Adam Jones. There was a Baraka Maynard, and a Johnny Cage Justin Chancellor. And he also made the Pussifer shirt that Misha is wearing in the Tool trivia. But it's also right here, I guess. He made it for Misha and gifted it to him, but it's a pretty cool Pussifer Maynard on a unicorn with a fucking rainbow. But this guy's the Tool meme lord. He also made this epic photo edit that you're going to see in Tool Trivia. Now that I've introduced our contestants, here's Tom with the weather for Tool Trivia. I know the pieces fit, where everyone's a loser because Maynard hates us all, with his lovely assistant. Welcome to Tool Trivia. I know the pieces fit, with Juliaspiralsout and Aenima87, formerly Aenima46 Mike Alarcon, and Juliaspiralsout of ToolCountdown fame. Two massive Instagram Tool fan pages are gonna duel it out. 1v1, boys versus girls, with my lovely assistant, Trinidad, and Tom with the weather. I'm representing the boys' side with this bell. And Trinity is going to be representing the girls' side with this bell. Let the games begin! Tool recently played this song live for the first time in 20 years.
Undertow.
Y'all tied, man. The European version of Aenima contains a spoof track list of previous Tool releases. Name as many fake albums as you can.
We just talked about it. Here's a fake album. Chode. Wasn't Chode one of them?
Chode should be one of them. That was the name of the fake album they put out before Lateralis to throw people off. Yeah. Okay. But if you have the European version of Aenima, it has like a fake track list that says Iced Pea, Gay Rodeo, I Smell Urine, Bad Breath, Spring Boner, the Christmas album. Okay, what is the name of Tool's tape-only demo?
72826.
Got it. The eerie interlude, Die Ear von Satan, is actually a recipe for what?
Cookie hash cookies.
Hash cookies! That was the time. Uns keiner Eier means what?
No eggs.
No eggs.
No eggs. Damn, y'all tying.
Are we tying?
No way.
What is the name of the hidden track on Opiate? On Undertow. Undertow. On Undertow. What is the name of the hidden track on Undertow?
Yeah.
No, it's like
Yeah, the track number is 69.
69.
What is the name of the mathematical number sequence featured in Lateralis?
Fibonacci.
Fibonacci.
You gotta do the number 135. 8.
Do you actually know the numbers?
Yeah, dude.
987. I know that one. I know that one.
That's 987 backwards, right? That's when it goes backwards. Yeah.
This fake album title was released ahead of Lateralis. You got it.
Dude, the track names on this are so
Okay. First person to name all studio albums in order.
I'm gonna let you have
Opiate,
this one.
Undertow, Aenima, Lateralis, 10,000 Days,
You forgot Opiate too! Dude, that's new. That counts. It can't.
It's not an album.
It's sort of. It's what song? It's
Y'all missed 72826. Ah! What is the name of the hidden song on Opiate?
The Gaping Lotus Experience.
Gaping Lotus Experience. Which two songs from Opiate were live recordings?
Jerk Off and Cold and Ugly.
You're right.
Yeah.
Tool just celebrated the release of Opiate with a live video and a re-recorded version. I'm fucked up. How old is the EP?
30
Opiate.
years, right?
30 years.
30 years, right? Yeah.
I'm gonna give you some leeway because I'm fucked up.
Go Mike! Go Mike!
Finish this lyric. Under a dead Ohio sky.
Yeah, no, I got your stuff.
11 has been and will be waiting. Finish this lyric. Seems like I've been here before.
Seems like it feels so familiar.
Right. You got it?
We're winning.
Okay. Finish this lyric. Some say a comet will fall from the sky.
Tidal wave. Fall as I cannot sit still.
Someone told me once that there's a right and wrong.
Punishment will come for those who dare to
Cross the line, but
I'm not a singer, so yeah.
I can say what I want to.
Even though I'm serious.
Fuck yeah. You guys are tying. Somebody smells like weed, by the way. It might be in my backpack. But oh wait, you smell. Okay. Locked up inside you like the calm beneath castles.
cavern of treasures that no one has been to.
Fuck yeah. Embrace this moment, remember.
We already
Turtle.
turned
Illusion.
Fuck yeah.
It's like three right
Name the song after the segue. Parable. Oh, shit. Useful idiot. What's after that? 46. Lost keys.
What's it a
Rosetta
song?
Stone.
Intermission.
Jimmy.
Who said it first?
I don't know.
You both said it.
You guys
both
did.
said
Eon Blue Apocalypse.
it. The picture.
You're right, except live they've been playing Right and 2. Y'all remember that shit? It's fucking
Yeah, but you know
up.
what? You know what? They played, what was it? They played a short version of Parable the last concert back in 2018.
No shit.
Yeah, they cut Parable. They skipped Parabola and they cut Parable. So they just went into Parabola right away.
Dude, that's crazy,
Yeah.
man. Message to Harry Manback.
Booger with penis.
Ah, I love that one. Cesaro some ability.
Enema.
Aenima! During the recording of Lateralis, the guys threw a cake at Danny during a recording of what song?
No idea.
In a single take, he recorded Ticks and Leeches. You can actually hear them like, throwing the cake. Adam Jones uses a talk box in which guitar solo?
Jabby.
Yes. Are you keeping score of us?
He's interpreting my fucked up speech way better than anybody else. When Adam Jones wanted to learn more about the talk box, he got a call from a talk box fairy. Who was it? That's a good answer.
That is a good answer. Yeah, I don't know.
Joe Walsh of the Eagles. What brand of bass guitar does Justin Chancellor play? You said it before I got my fucked up speech out. What year is Adam Jones' guitar?
79.
What brand of drums does Danny Carey use?
Sona.
I'm gonna roll.
Even the saxophone guy said that in the set.
Did he?
Yeah,
I didn't
during
catch
the first
that.
set, yeah. What?
During the Lateralis tour, Maynard would play guitar. What brand of guitar?
Ibanez?
It was during Reflection.
It has no
No,
head.
it's like it starts with an S.
Yeah, Steinberg.
Steinberg.
You should get a
No
point
head
for
on the
knowing
guitar.
that it started with an S.
This well-known musician is a former guitar tech of Adam Jones.
Billy Howard.
Yes, Billy Howardell. That's all I got for now.
Nice.
Hey, Julia.
Julia,
Woo!
the tool expert.
Yeah,
You guys are awesome. Thank you for playing.
Yeah.
What's our prize? What's our prize? Our prize is together.
Your prize is stickers. Togetherness.
Hey, what's up? That was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
She's down to win. It's not a tie.
Instant replay right now. Instant replay. Und instant replay. How do you say replay in German?
Girls roll, boys droll.
Alright, maybe you're onto something. Guys kind of suck, right? We'll get you next time. Wow! Wow! Julia won by a landslide victory of 25-6. with Misha George for the assist on 5 points. Even combined, the boys didn't win. They would have had 11, and she still had 25. Congratulations, Julia spirals out. Tool Countdown victorious. Finish him. I still feel like Mike should have got some extra points for saying chode so many times. I wanted to say chode a couple more times myself, actually. I might put it in right here. Chode, 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 chode. And Misha should get some extra points for singing. I think he was the only one besides me that sang. But congratulations, Julia! You win a meeting with Danny Carey that you already had. That Julia clearly has a depth of tool knowledge that rivals my own. And I think she might have beat me on a couple of them. I know, because like the segue before the song one, she was quick on those. I think she's only gotten one of them wrong. I do Tool Trivia on Tuesday every week. Tool Trivia Tuesday, Tools Day. And she's only gotten one of them wrong, I think. And she made a point to message me and be like, I accidentally hit the wrong one. I know the answer to this one. And she's given me Tool Trivia recommendations before, none of which were in the episode. This girl has a depth of Tool Trivia knowledge that rivals my own. And she's also a talented drummer. We've talked about collaborating on Tool covers. She was playing Intolerance on drums. I saw a video in her stories of her playing Intolerance on drums, and at the same time, I had been learning Intolerance on guitar because Intolerance was the theme of the Danny Carey trial episode. So I was going to post a guitar cover of that, but I never got around to doing it because it's really hard to do all this stuff and time management. We've also talked about her collaborating on drums on one of the Echoes of Iris songs. So eventually, we're going to start collaborating musically. I'm just going to send her stuff, and she's going to send me back stuff. I've got a program that can remove the drums from Tool songs, and I send them to her without drums, and she'll play on them. I can do the same for my guitar. I'll pull the guitar out and put my guitar on. So that'll be an interesting collaboration, which brings me back to my desire to focus more on music. After the Baked Potato show, me and some of the guys in the We Are Pneuma Facebook group, and Ray Audette, I think is how you pronounce his last name, but he's the drum tech at the Baked Potato. We were all hanging around, and a random drunk guy, just some random drunk guy that wound up in our pictures. He came by and asked for a cigarette twice, I think, but he's in the picture too. Misha's face says it all. But anyway, so we're all standing around hanging out, and like I said before, you never see anybody smoking weed except Misha, cool as a fucking cucumber, standing there smoking weed, which made me like pull out my last joint that I had before I took off back to Tennessee, where it's not legal, so I couldn't take it back with me. Anyway, so we're standing around smoking a little bit, just hanging out, and Ray mentioned, like, if drums are your passion, focus on drums, keep playing drums, because I had brought those drumsticks for Danny to sign, so I think he misinterpreted why I had the drumsticks to inspire me, but it's actually to inspire my drummer. It's a gift to a friend. Anyway, I had already been thinking about just focusing on music, so his advice really rang true to me, and also, the other guys, they kind of echoed the same thing, and I had already thought about my way out of this. Not that I want to quit doing it, but my way to take a break is to just stop and then resume with the season 2. Here's season 2, and it fits right in with the Tool brand, where it's like, fuck you. We take the time to do the things that we're going to do, But I don't want to lose any listeners, and I know that some of you really look forward to the show, and I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me that anybody would care to listen to this. But Ray, I do want you to know, if you're listening, that I did take that to heart, and I do plan on getting back to music. I never planned to let it fall by the wayside, and I still am not. I'm actually working on a mix. I've been working on it for a while now, but I've got to, I had to rethink the bass solo. It's a bass 6 song. Anyway, I want to be able to do the podcast and music, and I might be able to balance the two things. I might be able to take both of them on at the same time, or I might have to, like I said before, do shorter videos or only do it when I can do it. And as I said before, Misha and me were standing there smoking, and, for a weed legal state, there's nobody smoking around there's nowhere to do it. There's no one doing it that you could see anywhere. And that brings me to the Disgustipated segment, which is stereotypes. Potheads, that's a stereotype. I got stereotyped a couple times, not just because the silly goggles, because I did wear them to the baked potato some. I had them on my head, and then I'd put them down for pictures. But walking around Ralph's, I got stereotyped. Somebody thought I was a vagrant, just because the tie-dye shirt, or maybe because I was like sunburned as hell, because you get a sunburn just from standing there. But, this guy thought I was going to run out with some, I guess people do that. They have a lot of vagrants there, a lot of homeless people. But there's actually, at the end of the aisle, I went there for toothpaste because I didn't bring any with me. But at the end of that aisle is like a clear wall, and it was almost like a Looney Tunes moment, or like Wile E. Coyote. I felt like I was about to walk into the wall, and then I was like, whoa, what is this? And I doubled back, and the security guard had followed me down, or he started to follow me down the aisle. He was like watching me. The same guy had talked to me earlier about my shirt, He said that I had a cool shirt. I was wearing my Disgustipated Podcast shirt. But anyway, so we got to talking, and apparently, well, I feel like he profiled me. He thought I might be a vagrant, but they have so many vagrants. He just told me that like people come down there and steal stuff. That's why they have a clear wall, because I asked them why they had a clear wall. And I also got stereotyped at the airport when I was going from LAX to Tennessee. They searched my bags hardcore because like I'm in a non-weed legal state. But they looked at this guy with long hair and a music t-shirt and assumed I was smoking weed. Might have been because I had a lighter in my backpack. And they like, okay, well, we got to search the rest of the shit the guy's got. But anyway, so that's a stereotype. And then like Misha is super productive artist guy. He's doing cool shit. He's standing around smoking weed. Like, potheads are not people that just, they can be, but that can be a lot of people. You could be addicted to just about anything, and you could just be a procrastinator and never do anything. But weed calms my mind down. It makes me not overthink everything. And finally, the stereotype of girls not knowing much about music, or asking a girl that's wearing a band t-shirt, name 5 songs or something like that. Like, obviously, Juliaspiralsout won by a fucking landslide, and she probably would have even beat me, the insufferable OGT myself. That's a stereotype that we need to let go of. I am the father of a daughter, and I don't like the perception that girls know less. I think girls prioritize differently than guys. Maybe that's not the norm to remember so much stuff about music. But I've met girls now that play video games. I've met girls now that are all into music. I've met all types of people, and I think times are a-changing, y'all. I'm Jeff. I'm out. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing Tool Trivia. Stay tuned. Here's my music. More music to come. I'm Jeff. Again, I'm out.